Welcome to the three body narrative. We are your podcast hosts. That is Naeem Sheikh, and this is Praddy. And for today's episode, we are going to be reviewing, of course, Ghost of Yōtei. Sorry, headphone users. I can guarantee I'm not that off key as well. But welcome to the Three Body Narrative, where we review everything pop culture, movies, TV shows, games, and we're here back once again to review a game. It is none other than Ghost of Yōtei. Alright, so before we get to our ratings and our discussion, what is Ghost of Yōtei all about? Well, the game follows Atsu, a lone mercenary who returns to her frozen homeland in Ezo to hunt down the warlords who destroyed her family. As she becomes a feared ghost stalking them through mountains and forests, her quest for vengeance pulls her into a larger struggle for the fate of the region. Well, this was a game that I was extremely excited for. This is a game that Naeem and I both spent at least 60 hours.
Yeah, easy.
Easy. Finishing it off, platinuming it. The first question, Naeem, did you play it in English or in Japanese?
I played it in English.
And
I know you played it in Japanese, yeah. Which is why the song or the tune.
Did you not get it when he did it in English? When he was narrating it in English, did he also start singing it?
No, not like this. So it's a different experience.
Oh, nice.
I think so. If I'm not wrong, you're talking about the music that plays, right? Like when you're walking and there are like some critical story beats happening and the story is kind of moving along as you walk along, but it's sort of like a story is being told, right? Like there is music playing and things like that. Especially like the most important sequence I can think of is a major tragedy befalls at a later point in the game, and you make your way up this mountain to meet one of your how do you say, mentors in a way. Not definitely one of your mentors who's up the mountain, and there's like when you're making that climb, the music plays out. Referring to that?
No. I love that you went through this entire thing and I was like, what's he talking about?
Okay.
No, I'm talking about when you meet the storyteller, you remember, in different points.
Yeah,
and
no.
he
No, it's not.
Okay.
He doesn't sing or like have a tone when he. I think it's just a normal one. I don't.
So it's
It's been a
essentially
while.
no. So it's essentially so Ugetsu, who's the story traveler, and
Storyteller,
then
yeah.
it goes into this painting, this artistic form.
Yeah, no, it's not. From what I
Okay.
recall, no, it's not. It's not
Okay.
in any specific tone or anything. It's just like he's talking about it, like how you kind of have in Harry Potter. You know the scene where they're telling the story of the three brothers.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of like.
Okay. So for me, then I'm glad that there's a difference because I got the full musical version of those stories. All right, so let's get to talking about the game, and we'll start off with our ratings. I'm gonna give my ratings first. This game, hands down, for me, a 4.5 out of 5. All right. The only reason I am deducting 0.5 is I would say 0.25 perhaps, or less than 0.25, is because of the parrying technique at times, right? Which I do believe that there was a lag, at least when I was playing it. I don't know if they patched it up later, but initially there was a slight lag. And maybe that also happens, I don't know, because I faced it more when I was a rookie rather than when I finally got all my powers and I was like powerful. But that definitely, especially on the hard mode, the the sorry, but especially on the hard mode when which I played majority of the game on. I think for me the parrying was a little bit, but again, I would say that's like less than 0.25. The bigger chunk of why I've deducted that 0.5 is because I felt the story was been there, done that. It's normal. It was predictable. All of that was there. But that being said, I had loads of fun playing this game. Right.
Yeah.
I love the visuals. Oh my god, this is probably one of the best. What do I call it? The best looking game? Yeah, it's probably the best looking game in a while that I've seen and played.
Landscape, especially.
The environment, the landscape, just riding on the horse. I platinumed it, and I still kind of just sometimes just go back and just ride the horse through the fields because it's just so beautiful to watch and go and play through. I love the side missions. I know there's a lot of talk about. I read some of the reviews saying that it wasn't great, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Fun fact is that I played a lot of the side missions. I think the first 30-40 hours was just spent playing the side missions before getting to the main story. I love the non-linear timeline, or not timeline, but the non-linear story. So we'll discuss that later. And yeah, just all in all, I love the fighting sequences. I love the environment, loved the combat. All of it was really, really exciting. And yeah, 4.5 for me.
Cool. Yeah. I echo the sentiments pretty much. It is definitely a 4.5 out of 5 for me. The only reason I take the 0.5 away is uh, Ghost of Tsushima already did this. Like, it is something we kind of have experienced before, not at the level that we did with Yotei. It's like the base was set strong with what you experienced in Tsushima. So from that aspect, there is not too much new that's come about, barring like a couple of new additions. But what they have done is they've taken all the learnings they had from Tsushima, whether that be the fighting combat mechanics or that be the setting in itself, the storytelling, the way the storytelling moves ahead, and more than anything else, the side missions that they have, right? All of that feels so much more improved and enhanced upon that there is no way. I mean, I personally feel that anyone who likes an action adventure game would not end up loving this game because it's so entertaining. Whether that be in terms of the storytelling in itself, how the game is not linear, like you mentioned. It's not linear in a way that you can go into different story points and not follow the same trajectory, but feel that same drive to kind of, oh, when do I come back and get to continue this? Especially like if you're working and things like that, you just want to be like, you want to end your day. I think
Yeah.
this is one of those games that after a really long time, I felt like I wish I could just apply for like a couple days off and just like focus on the game, right? Like, unfortunately for me, it's come towards the end of the year where it's like peak season for us, so it's not feasible or possible to take a couple of days off or to game. So that
Yeah.
wasn't possible. But like speaking strictly from how um, gripping or engaging the game was, I had a very, very good experience with the game. I platinumed it. I don't platinum too many games.
Yeah.
And this one, like you mentioned, right? Like it was so good in terms of the side missions as well. I ended up spending uh, 40 hours, the first 40 odd hours, just, I mean, leaving the main story points that you kind of need to hit before the world kind of really opens up to you. I think leaving all of that out, I just spent majority of the time doing all the side missions, gearing up with all those potential weapons that you could get, and even the robes and
Yeah.
the wardrobes that you could collect, etc., etc., the armors, etc. So and the masks, right? Like because that's a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
All in all, I think by far this year has given me two very good games that I've experienced, and both of them have come towards the end of the year. We already discussed Ad Hoc's game just a couple of weeks ago, and now we're talking about Ghost, which came prior to
Yeah.
that game, obviously. But yeah, if you haven't played the game, I would suggest taking some time off, probably during Christmas or towards the end of the year, and
Yeah.
definitely give it a go.
I don't think I've done long gaming sessions, on single player games for a long time, and I think this was the first time in a while. If I recollect correctly, which was the last big, you know, single player game. Perhaps I did Hogwarts Legacy. I spent a lot of time on it, but honestly, I found myself like waking up wanting to turn on the PlayStation straight away and like getting to the story. And I remember like texting my cousin as well, saying that, hey, I'm playing Ghost. I've played 30 hours. I barely even met the Oni, right? I think the second villain. I barely met him. So it was so much fun, and I think we probably want to talk about the gameplay first. I think let's just talk about that because, like you mentioned, there are some similarities with what Ghost of Tsushima gave us, right?
Yeah,
And I always like to call Ghost of Tsushima Ghost and this Yotei, but yes, it's the
yeah,
Ghost of
yeah,
Tsushima. Yeah. So Ghost of Tsushima, what it gave us in terms of, I think that was predominantly the combat styles were different stances that you could use to beat the villains, and here it was more the weapon choices. And I think maybe from my end it was more an evolution of, or because of the time lapse from where we left Tsushima to where we are right now. Like there are a lot more upgraded weapons available. Like I don't think maybe at that point there were pistols and stuff like that. So
yeah,
new age weaponry came about, and I like the fact that we did that. Though I really loved Tsushima's stance combat style. It was really fun. This was another good way, and I think this again reminds me of even what Hogwarts kind of had, right? Where Hogwarts also had like the purple and the red and the green and the yellow, so you had to defeat different villains with different spells.
yeah,
And I like that customization that you do because it doesn't bore you. Like here I was having to switch mid fight into that damn dashi thing and then beating up the big guy and immediately bringing the kusarigawa and whacking people around with it. It was a lot of fun. At times, like pressing the wrong button and they're like, "Shit, what the hell is happening?" He's got the wrong
yeah,
weapon here, and especially with the boss fights, right? Boss fights, especially. Actually, not even the boss fight. It was one of those side missions with the Takezo's thing, and I'm like, damn, dude, this is so
right.
tough. I have to change. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he's got
what did you
unrivaled
make?
reason. Oh my god, insane, this thing. And yeah, absolutely. I love how the game evolved from the different stances that you had, whether that it be stone, water, moon, etc. I think
Mm,
those were the different stances you had to this new uh, mechanics of having different weapons in itself. I think that also maybe I'm thinking too much, but I'm guessing it might have to do with because Ghost of Tsushima focused on a former samurai who was used to the way of fighting uh, as a samurai, which meant he was heavily dependent on his katana, to kind of battle his enemies. I think to that point you see him like his major battles kind of taking place with that weapon of choice in itself, and the only other option you have is the ghost mechanics that you kind of
mm,
get to use at a later point. as you kind of progress through the story.
Yeah, it was if I'm not mistaken, it was just the katana or it was the bow and arrow, right? Those are the main two that he
Those
had.
are the main two. Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
I think
you
you're
have
right.
to.
Like as a sorry, which what did he have?
Yeah, I know. I'm saying you do get the ghost weapons later on, which are like your smoke bombs and your kunais,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, the throwables essentially, right?
throwables. Yeah, basically yes.
But the main, yeah, so I think you're right in that, like in a samurai, because he's a samurai turned then later on shinobi, but as a samurai you're trained in certain stances, right? So I like the fact that maybe it was, because he was a samurai, that you could only have those stances. He didn't really explore different weapons, whereas here it was straight out, give me the biggest weapon you can because I'm gonna beat these guys down. Like it's
Yeah,
proper
yeah,
revenge story, which I like.
true.
But apart from that, I think most of the other stuff was nice. It was similar. The one thing that about the gameplay was, I think here I felt a lot more tense when I was going into Saito camps, because I could not pinpoint where everyone was. Only
Yeah,
later on, I
yeah,
think
and
only later on you
I
had that charm where you could or whatever.
I love that part of the game, and because of the difference in the way we approach the game storyline, because you went to Ishikari Plains, which is I think towards the west, right? Uh, West, right? And I went the other way towards Teshio Ridge. So we had a branching different storyline, which obviously converge at a later point. But through that, I love this thing of being irritated at, that they didn't carry forward the um, ghost hearing. I don't know exactly what it's
Yeah.
if that's what it's called. Uh, but the ability to kind of see people in this scanned version of the environment to pinpoint where they are. To not be able to do that was very irritating. I kept slamming on the L3, and I'm like, why the hell is this not happening? And then eventually that becoming a part of the storyline where that's a technique or a skill that you learn, and then you're able to kind of deploy that was simply phenomenal, and I really love that bit. And I also like the fact that you went through the game for like almost 70% of the game without actually getting that skill, because I went the other way and you only got to that place a lot later, right? So
But no,
uh,
so this was more on terms of the. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, correct. Because that's when you unlock that bit and then you start
yeah. And
upgrading the.
to that point, also, like while I lucked out with the hearing, you had the bombs,
Yeah.
uh, because that's something you pick up in Ishikari Plains towards the west, right? And
Yeah,
I
the
didn't have
normal
that.
bombs. Yeah, the normal bombs versus the smoke. You picked up the
I
smoke
got
bomb.
the
I picked
smoke
up.
bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, you picked up the normal bombs, which were pretty interesting, and also the guns. Obviously, it's something that you get. I think in Ishikari, right? Or is it
No,
Oshi?
no, no.
Oshi,
So it's just before Oshiwara. I think
Oshi.
when you have to.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's at Oshiwara. Sorry, it's at
At
Oshiwara
Oshi.
when you're going to rescue the daughter. That's where you
Yeah.
pick up. But
Pick up the.
no, I mean talking about the different storylines. Like I because I remember I got to Ishikari first. You were still kind of doing the Yotei grasslands, and I never
Yeah.
went to to that Tadachi range or whatever, or to the east, because that's where the Saito camp, the main Saito camp was, where you kind of
Yeah.
face off against Saito. But I never went
Yeah.
that direction because I said I'll finish this side, right? And you were going there, and I said okay, I'll finish, and that's when you meet your brother who's alive, Jube. And I
Yeah.
remember telling you, like, hey, listen, once you finish, just come to Ishikari Plain. And because it's like, it's so difficult to like play and not, together and not tell you what's happening. And then later you
Yeah.
said that I'm with someone or I'm traveling here. I was like, oh, are you with someone? Are you traveling alone? Like, I had to tiptoe my way around that. But
I think it was around the time when I just entered Cashier Ridge. And the thing is, I didn't want to track back because that opening sequence, the moment you hit Cashier Ridge, is so gripping. You're like, oh my god, like you want to explore this region. And it's like, I absolutely love snow. as a concept. I've not personally experienced it, so I hope someday
That's
I
what.
get to
That's
personally
why.
experience it.
That's why you love it a
But
lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the the whole idea that this was a region that was completely how do I say it, covered in snow, to say the least. Uh, Especially right at the entrance, right? Like Teshio is so damn cold as you enter, and I love the way it's like how this game, being a PlayStation exclusive, does so many things really damn well. And out of that, of those things, I think my favorite is the way you light up the the camp, or like
Campfire.
basic
Yeah.
like
The campfire.
campfire.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that, and also the paintings that you kind of do, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so damn interactive, but also like really fun to see how that's translating into some really creative art pieces that you get to do along. And me, considering how terrible I am in reality when it comes to doing art pieces, it was damn fun to kind of
Oh, look
go
at
through
me. I'm
that.
drawing so well. I'm painting so
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
swipe
Yeah.
left, swipe
I
right.
also love the fact that you could actually like you had the option to turn on some additional controller mechanics that you've never really experienced before. Like you could actually blow wind into the towards the controller, and that would help light the fire, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, some like really creative stuff that they've done with the game that really just ups your experience from what you had with the
Yeah.
first post.
The other thing I liked about is when talking about snow and the colder regions of the map
Mm,
was that
the
when
health.
you go to that, yeah, your health starts to freeze. And I felt again the first time I felt that was with Takezo, and I was like, what the hell's happening, right?
Yeah,
But I think yeah, that was fun. I think the entire mechanics. Overall, I loved how interactive it was. Even and maybe we'll hit upon this right now. The music, the shamisen playing, and the music overall. Oof! Like some of
too
the
good.
tunes that she was banging out there was just insane. Right?
Absolutely. I also love the way the game opens. Like you're immediately thrown into obviously like a very um how do you say, insane opening. And I'm
Mm,
not talking about the about what's happening at her place.
okay.
I'm talking about the first mission you go on, which is
Right.
Snake. And I love the way you're like walking up and people are like telling you what are you doing, like track back, or like don't engage with these guys and stuff like that. And like the environment is like you can feel the thunder and the lightning there, and it's like all set up, and then the fire comes about, and then the whole sequence that follows in terms of how the fight goes and how you technically become the Onryo,
Yeah.
which is pretty insane. Onryo meaning the ghost, right? Like the
Yeah.
spirit. Uh, what, what is
Uh,
the thing?
it kind of does. It did remind me, and I mean, in terms of the story and the fact that you do on this sort of revenge mission, did remind me a lot of Sifu.
Mm,
In
mm.
that you had like kind of people that you needed to kill, maybe a gang of five, gang of six here. So, and that was pretty,
Speaking, so
yeah.
this game, I think earlier in the year I had played Assassin's Creed, which I didn't complete for XYZ reason. I didn't feel the same drive to go through the story. But for the initial plot points that you kind of see in that game as well, and I think you one of so in AC Shadows you can play as two characters, and mainly the game focuses for the initial part on the female lead, which is I think Naue. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She has a similar story, in the sense that her family is killed in front of her, like her dad is killed as well, and by masked men who are called the Onryo, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
if I'm not wrong, I think they're called the Onryo, but here, obviously, they're called. the Saito 6, if I'm not wrong, right? Or the
Yeah.
Yotei 6.
Mm, Yotei 6. Yotei 6, I think.
Yotei 6, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And in AC Shadows, it's like there are like 12 of them in that gang of the
Oh,
Onryo.
wow. Okay.
And it's a similar story in terms of revenge, at least for the girl. I didn't like progress enough in the story to see what happens with the male lead in there, because it happens, I think, midway through the game, or at least 30%, in which I did not complete of the game. I got distracted by something else. I don't know, probably FIFA, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't engaging enough for me to carry on with the game. But yeah, I think the story beats felt very similar to that. It
Okay.
almost felt like, oh wait, wasn't there a tree in the AC Shadows as well too? So I think it was very weird in the way that uh, I kind of see this, and then I see Yotei, and I'm like, okay, what happened? Like both had the same story, and then like they had to kind of meddle with it, or like I don't know what happened, but yeah. And again, like I mean, I think nowadays it's become frequent to visit the Japanese folklore in certain ways, or like the whole Japanese setting, because you see a lot of that happening now,
Yeah.
where you see a lot of the games trying to explore the Japanese cities as game settings, and the whole, not shinobi aspect, but more of the samurai aspect that you see in the games. So yeah, I think that's one of the other similarities, like not just the similarity with Ghost, like the previous Ghost that you see, but also other storylines. I mean, games that you have similar storylines as well.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing, I think, talking about the plot, right? Um, it's hilarious because we obviously open in a very dark place and we see the deaths of Atsu and Jubei's parents. Actually, even Jubei at that point, right? We kind of we see all of them kind of dead and dying. And the next thing that you know is that you are partly responsible for that, you and Jubei, right?
Yeah,
bringing
yeah, yeah, yeah,
bringing
yeah,
Saito to the house, being very
yeah.
friendly with this random stranger, and that turns out to lead the lion right to its prey. And yeah, that was hilarious to see. But talking about this relationship that we have with Jubei, right? Like, obviously it's this, you're on a different path, you're on a revenge path, you think your entire family is dead, you essentially just want to um, go out there and kill all the Yotei 6, and then you stumble across Jubei, who's very much alive, who is leader of the Matsume
Matsumai, Matsumai.
Matsumai, yeah, Matsumai clan, who's one of the leaders there, and who's a commander in chief, who's got a life of his own, turns out, right? And that, I think, there's a lot of tension there. Yeah, so there's a lot of tension there in terms of, like, I I don't know from whom, because both of them feel like both are brother sister, so there's obviously the sibling tension, but more than that, I think it's like, since it's been so many years, it's like there's been so much that's passed, or so much that's happened in those years, that they both seem like very different people to each other, very different
Yeah.
ideologies. Um, and while the ending was inevitable, right? I expected that from the get go. It was interesting to see that dynamic play, because initially when you do meet him, and throughout, Jubei is a very straightforward, by the books, orderly person. But I think later he kind of does give in into a few of what Atsu's shenanigans, if you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think has a lot to do with the different experiences they both have as children surviving as orphans. Um,
Yeah, one getting
obviously,
shot in the chest and the other one being pinned to a tree.
tree, burning tree.
Yeah,
But to the point that obviously Juba is adopted by the Matsumai clan, and gets to live a little more, not a little, a very royal life in a lot of ways, right? And he's taught the more, how do you say, social, how to behave yourself, and the way of the samurai and things like that, right? That's
the
very,
hierarchy, the societal
yeah,
hierarchy has been taught to him perfectly.
perfectly, yeah. And whereas for sorry,
Atsu.
I forget, Atsu, yes. For Atsu, it's a very different experience, right? Like, she's kind of left to die, and she has to fend for herself. It's not an easy experience growing up whatsoever, right? And throughout that experience, she has only one thing in mind, that she's gonna get uh, strong to the point where she can exact revenge for what the six did to her family. And there is no, she's not getting this kind of kind, or like, the more, how do you say,
No, but Atsu also, imagine, like, you've obviously seen the horrors that have been done to your family, and then having
yeah,
to like grow up and go to war and see even more bloodshed and tragedy, right? It's definitely scarring, but I think for her, it's more like this is the path I need to take in order to become the person I need to be in order to beat the Yotei 6 and get my revenge.
yeah, yeah. And
But
and she,
but she's all,
because there's a lack of um people she trusts around, or has
yeah.
bond with around, there is no this there's no development of feelings of, I have something to lose, or I want to live for XYZ reason, right? The only reason for her to live on is the fact that she wants to put an end to the six. And once that is done, she doesn't know what to do with her life, right? Like, and in that pursuit of killing them, if she meets her end, she's okay with that kind of a thing, right? So it's a very different lifestyle, or a life experience that she goes through, and it shapes her to be the way she is. Uh, Whereas,
Also like because of the wars and everything, she's only seen the worst of people, right? Even people,
yes,
when
exactly.
we play, and there are a lot of like friendly people who come, and I think the clearest example of this is when we camp. And every time we camp, if she hears a rustling of leaves or she sees somebody walking, she's already ready with a sword.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
always.
I was hoping that it would pay off in some way, but no. But it kind of is that sort of restless, anxious, or untrustworthiness, I suppose, that she sees in people, right? It's the
Yeah,
anxiety within her, but it's also that she doesn't trust anyone, no matter how good-hearted they actually are. Even someone like Taro, who's a kid, right? She doesn't really trust him quite so well until probably the end. But I think that basically shapes, and that's the dynamic we got to play with. And it's interesting because we play with as Atsu, right? And we obviously, I don't know about you, but I'm always like, yeah, we should just go and beat the shit out of people. We should do all of that. And then you always have Jubel always like scolding you, reprimanding you, saying, no, no, this is not right. I'm like, shut up, dude. I'm doing this the right way. Right? And he's always like, no, do stealth. And I'm like, I'm bad at stealth. Let me just go and beat the shit out of people. So
yeah,
that's the dynamic, which is fun because you're like, he is that annoying sibling who tells you this is the elder sibling, I suppose, who tells you this is no, this is right, though, this is right. And you're like, no, dude, believe me, I finished 60% of this game and then met you. Like, know,
yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
So I think my approach was obviously a little more, like, I preferred the stealth approach as much
Hmm.
as possible until I got spotted, or it became like extremely clear that I couldn't take them out on stealth. But my favorite is when you kind of have you're on a rope or something like that, and you can take 3 or 4 targets down at the
Oh,
same.
chain
I really
assassinations are the best.
yes, absolutely love those. Also, the other thing that I really like this time is when you have like a chief of camp or like the main general, right? You get the option to slaughter them, and that means like jumping down and then unsheathing your sword to kind of just like clean knock the head off of his shoulders or the body basically, and it just falls like that, and it's so well done. It just looks so damn badass, to say the least. It's like fun to watch and like one of my favorite things to do. I think one other thing that I really like in a weapon other than the main weapon, which is the katana, uh, kat- katana, right?
Katana, yeah.
um, was the Kusarigawa. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that
Yeah.
right, but it was this thing that you kind of have like a chain with like a hook of sorts attached to it, a
Yeah,
very
so you
sharp.
had, I think you had like was it the kunai at one end and a ball at the other, right? An iron
Yeah,
ball, and
something like that.
yes,
But I think
something.
the kunai was not like it looked
Oh,
more
it's
like
just a hook?
sort of a dagger
Yeah.
kind of hook at the end, not like a straight this thing, which kind of like allowed you to whip it at some of the enemies that were looking the other way and just pull them into the hiding spot that you were in and just like take them out there, which is pretty damn cool. So yeah, I had a
One
lot of
one of my favorite ones was, and I didn't know whether I was using it a lot, but I enjoyed it, was having my pal next to me, the wolf, calling the
fun.
wolf into the Saito camps and having
Yeah.
the sort of showdowns with him. Oh my god, that was really, really nice.
Mine was a little different. Like I kept forgetting to play the tune before going in to the camps. I loved it when I would throw one of those or like the wine bottles or whatever those were, like the empty
Sake.
one.
Sake
Yeah,
bottle.
these sake bottles at someone, and suddenly out of nowhere, the wolf would just come and like grab at the enemy, right? And that was
Yeah.
so much fun to do. Yeah, I really love the combat mechanics of this game, like the parrying as well. It was irritating at times, but again, not as irritating as it was for you because I was playing at a normal difficulty as opposed to a hard difficulty that most of my friends who are playing this game at for some reason. I clearly don't have the patience to kind of
No,
keep.
when it came to the bosses, I would immediately like change to medium because I was like, because the initial bits were fighting Takezo and everything. I was like, no way, no damn way.
Yeah,
I think if
Takezo
I,
had
yeah,
I had to bring it down a level further from normal to I think easy to
yeah,
be
yeah.
able
I
to
I beat him
take
only on
care
easy.
of.
There's no way even on medium. I was for that. I played hard for a minute. I got my ass beat, and I was like, shit, no, no, no. Okay, I mean, it was probably both our faults to go right for him right at the beginning before
That's
leveling
true.
up
Yeah,
in any way
yeah,
or form. But and with only like maybe two weapons, I had only the double katana and the katana. So I was like,
true. Yeah,
uh,
I mean, you didn't realize, right, like how that this guy's supposed to be one of the end bosses. Is just everything just comes together because of the exploring you're doing and this the way that side mission is flowing. It just feels very natural that it comes to an end like that. But then it turns out if you want to actually take on him, you're definitely not ready.
yeah,
But at that point in time, I had tried killing him for so long that I was like, either I kill this guy or I stop the game, kind of a thing, right? Like I'm not gonna go elsewhere, finish those things, and then come back for him. I don't have the patience for that. It almost
so
felt like
so honestly, when you
God of
play
War.
when you beat Takezo the first time, which is in the like in that ocean
Yeah,
area by the coast. I was like, oh, you told me because you beat Takezo first. You said, oh my god, this guy's so tough. You're gonna, and I beat him quite easily on hard and medium. Okay, that's all. And I was like, why is he? What did he face there? And then he calls you to Mount Yotei, and I'm like, Oh shit! That's where
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, I love the setting. I love the climb to Mount Yotei as well. Thankfully, I'd done the climb uh, before I
Yes,
have to go in,
because
so
there's
I
an
can't
altar
fast
there.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did have to climb twice though, because the first time I went there, I ended up not going to the place where you offer your respects, and it meant there was no other way to fast travel back there. I had to climb the mountain again. Although I didn't mind it because my god, the setting for some of these
The
high
the
points in the game.
shrines the shrines especially took a while to climb to, but when you got there, oh my god, the visuals were oof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even the environment or the landscape with the different colors of leaves and flowers, etc., was so damn nice. And my one of my favorite memories from the game is when you happen to visit a certain samurai's uh,
Yeah.
not a castle. It's his house
It's
and his home, all
yeah,
the way up.
it's a shrine. It's a shrine to the first ever shinobi, right?
Shinobi was, yeah, and
Um,
the this like how the flowers have kind of grown so long, and you kind of run through them, and it's such a crazy experience. And yeah, like it was really damn good. I simply can't get over how good this game looks, and it's from the start, right? Like you finish the main story bit, like the first mission, and then you come on to where the game is opening up for you for the first time, and that sequence, why when you're riding down the grasslands, oh my god, it is insane.
so if I'm not mistaken, even Tsushima had the same opening where you ride with the horse, right?
Yeah,
But I think this was the first game where you and I spent so many, or not spent, but you and I shared so many photos because
yep.
this we just took photos of every place we were at. We're like, oh my god, look at this! Oh my god, look at the the landscape here, the environment. Look at the sky. Look at the Mount Yotei, uh, right there. And I was like, yeah, man, this is. It was. It's serene. It's calm. It's just beautiful. I love the way the when the horse rides across different plains and plateaus and different regions and different sort of earth, I suppose. Like
Yeah.
the sound changes, the way he moves changes, the difficulty in the horse moving also changes as well.
Even if you have the vibrations of the controller turned up enough, you kind of feel that too. The
Hmm.
difference in being on snow versus being on grass versus like mud, etc. Like I think there are like very um like these niche things that they kind of worked upon that you don't realize unless you have certain settings turned up a certain way, kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
that in itself like adds so much to the experience. I can't wait until where the next generation of the controllers come and suddenly you have like sprinkle of water on your face because
Yeah, but no, I think this was actually we talk about, and I think we're slightly deviating, but we talk about the PlayStation 5 not having so many games that take advantage of the next
yeah,
generation, right? And this was one of the few one that really does. I think in terms of the visual graphics, in terms of the movement, the sort of everything about it, it just felt like yes, I am playing on a next gen. It doesn't seem like I could use this in a PS4 and it would work.
yeah,
So I think that's one of the few games that has been able to do that. But talking about, I mean, we speak a lot about side missions. Some of my favorite side missions were the bounty hunt. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
love, I love kind of just picking up those bounty hunt sort of pages from the board and then going
yeah.
finding those people and fighting them. Those were my favorite ones. I also did like the cartographer. I think I don't know however you say that, but the one where you kind of look into the map and then you place looking at where it is and place it. So that was fun. I really like just yeah the side missions overall were really fun. I think maybe the only side missions that I wasn't a huge fan of were probably, I love the fox ones. I love, okay, the fox were okay, but I like the wolf ones a lot more. The wolf den
Mm.
ones. The ones that I
Yeah.
wasn't a huge fan of, which I had to do in order to platinum it, were the finding these shamisen places and finding the painting places, and that was like, oh, I have to find this here. Where is this? And it wasn't readily available on the
Yeah.
map, so that was a bit of a headache. But yeah, the others, finding the altars, finding the, what are the other ones that you could find? The hot springs. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
why
because of the
you
shamisen,
kid?
the way you could play and the wind would blow a certain way, and you just had to follow that. It became easier to track those things. I think the the painting bit was a lot more difficult to track, especially
No, the worst to
even
track
though
was
they
that.
did
The
the
worst to
one where
track was
go
that.
and pay respect. Yeah, yeah, that was insane. Like there was, like I
There's
had to
no way.
use one of
There's
the
no way.
FAQs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no way that you could, unless you did a walkthrough or looked at the hints, there was no way you would be able to spot that damn thing and do what it does. Like,
And you just have to spend 60 hours is not enough. You have to spend 10 times that probably to be able to kind of get all of those in kind of thing.
but even then, it's so inconspicuous and like it doesn't tell you that here is where you pay. It's just a wooden board. It just feels like this is a board or just like something for the fish or for the
But I think
bird or something.
that's the thing of like getting you to explore as much of uh, the world they have built. One thing that kind of I think we're not at this point is because of like it's complicated in terms of the scope of the game. It's a very huge game, which means there is a lot of environment design that needs to like that puts the pressure on the memory and things like that in
Mm.
terms of the system that you hold. So they have to kind of hold back in certain areas, and I think they kind of do that in a smart way in the sense that when you travel between an Ishikari plain and the uh, grasslands or the Teshio Ridge and this thing, there is a point where you kind of need to like take a ferry or you need to go through like a zone where it's got like its own um, crossing over point per se, and it kind of is not like you don't realize it per se, but that's where the next area is loading
Yeah,
technically, or the next part of the region is loading, right? So I don't know when we get to a point where all of that just becomes seamless. It's not like there is a loading screen per se, but I think that was one of those things that kind of like I was like, ah, okay, this is still there. We're not past this yet. Obviously, if you compare it to where Tsushima was, there's a huge stark
yeah.
difference.
No,
And we're in the right way, definitely.
I did notice that part where there are certain blockages or between regions, but I really never gave it that much thought because it was pretty. It didn't take too much of my time. Like, oh, I have to wait now. Oh, I have to wait again. So for me, it was all right. I didn't.
Especially, it doesn't take too much time if you have fast traveling. Like once you've
Yeah,
unlocked a region, it's far more quicker, so it's easier from that perspective. I don't think I have too much issues with that. In terms of uh, coming back to the storyline, I think we one main thing that we have to discuss is the villains in itself.
yeah.
Uh, we did speak about Snake for a bit, but I think who was your favorite villain amongst the six?
Amongst the
That you-
six,
uh,
uh, I like the complexity of Spider.
okay,
Right. However, I think Saito for me was still like the big guy, right? Like the big bad that I wanted to go in with. Uh, Kitsune, when we first meet him,
yeah,
and that is when you enter Teshurus, that was insane. What an introduction, right?
yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah,
But overall, yeah, I think I like the complexity of Spider. I would say Spider 1, Saito 2, and Kitsune 3rd. The other two, I mean, Oni and Dragon were basic villains. I didn't see there being too much. In fact, honestly, I had tougher times beating bounty hunters and Takezo than I did beating the the villains. And that's again,
Yeah.
I guess, as the story progresses, you become stronger and more. The health increases because you're being going naked into pools randomly, right? So it's stuff like that. But yeah, who are yours otherwise? I'm pretty sure
I
Kitsune
think
must have been.
Kitsune was definitely the standout for me, especially that opening sequence was
Yeah,
next level, and also with the added tension of having the former Kitsune with you.
yeah.
Um,
I did not see that, by the way. I did not kind of.
See that coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for me, the thing was like it became difficult to know. I want to trust this woman,
Yeah.
but also I kind of doubted her to be. I actually, for the longest part, thought she was the Kitsune. Like especially when the whole sequence of her, you meeting her in that, what is it play? The inn. What inn is it where she plays?
Red roof. No, was that red?
Red
No, was
Crane
that
Inn, I think.
red crane? Yeah, something like that. Some red in some. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when you run into her there, I was initially like, okay, I have a feeling this is the Kitsune. Like I don't know what it
Oh,
is, but yeah,
okay.
I felt this is this is the Kitsune I met now. Like in the initial entry, right? Like she has some play going on or something like that. And then
Hmm.
later on, I'm like, oh, wait, it's not. Like I mean, once they reveal, once you face off against the actual Kitsune, I mean, not the actual, but like current Kitsune, you then realize that the person behind the mask has changed.
So,
Um,
but like, I didn't trust her. Let's be clear. Like, I didn't trust her from the get go. It's not like I definitely knew that there was something going on there. I just didn't know that she was the previous Kitsune, right? That was the only thing. But yeah, I mean, I had already met Jubei, so I thought she was somewhere connected to my past.
okay.
I just didn't think she was connected in that way, in the sense that she was a Kitsune that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely knew that she had a bigger role. She just wasn't there to help. So, and kind of like, who are you? Where did you come from? Do you know me? Like, it felt like she knew me. It felt like she
Hmm.
recognized me from somewhere. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. But yeah, I think that was a good thing. So Kitsune was your favorite, right? That makes sense. I think you really like Teshio Ridge so much.
I really enjoyed Tessio Ridge and just the way that whole, um, how do you say, the way they kind of get to you out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Uh, the,
but honestly, Teshio Ridge was the more exciting place because there was a lot more puzzles and stuff like that with the foxes.
the boxes plus the flame thing that you had to keep doing, all of that was like really fun. Also, like some of the areas, the way it is hidden behind, it felt almost like, oh, I didn't realize there's this huge dungeon right under this small place, right? And things like
Yeah,
that. Like it's insane how they've designed the game in those places, and like I really love that. But speaking of the villains, also I think yeah, I mean I like the complexity or uh, the character you see in the spider,
yeah,
not the dragon because you don't see too much of the dragon. Obviously, he's got a soft spot for his brother, and he wants to like shield him from all the negativity that comes from anywhere and everywhere, especially his father, perhaps. But I think I really like that complex character where it's clear that it's not something that he wants to do. It's just something he's doing because he wanted to impress his brother and his dad, or like they. That's what their family wants, basically, right?
yeah.
That's not personal.
I
Sorry.
was I was half expecting when you have the spider in captive and you brought him to the shore, right? Just before
Yeah,
the siege. I was half expecting Saito to be like, yeah, fuck it, kill him.
kill him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It almost felt like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he doesn't care, kind of a thing. I in fact thought maybe they will themselves will shoot.
That's what.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that only. Like, not that they would let Matsume kill him, but I was like, the ships are coming. It'll be like one arrow right into
yeah,
this
and then
spider.
it
Yeah,
turns out that he Saito himself shot.
Yeah.
This thing. Yeah, that's the kind of this thing. Yeah, it was interesting. Like the also like the sequences that you have when you're about to sleep, or like when you've gone to sleep and you have these flashbacks of you facing off
So
against someone.
that only happens if you, I think it happened a couple of times only, and when I
Yeah,
slept for the full night,
yeah.
right? That's when it happened. But if I sleep like only for a bit or something, then it didn't happen.
I kept doing for the full night even later, but then it stopped after a while. I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
there are a couple times it happens and then just stops. I just wanted to see if there is more to it, like if you need to go deeper into dream or something like that. But obviously, none of that really is at play there. One of my favorite pieces of story comes into play is when you're chasing after the brothers and the brother, the spider, I think, yeah, the spider, right? Yeah, the spider is at this party,
Hmm.
uh, um, uh, like fireworks, and how you're infiltrating that castle to get to him. I absolutely loved this whole the ghost mode per se, like where you go into
Because
this killing spree where you take out the entire batch of army. I don't know how many people you kill,
yeah, and it's
but
all easy. It's all like
yeah,
one single sword
yeah,
shit and like fart, fart,
yeah.
fart, fart.
Isn't it? Like one swipe and there like one person is dead, kind of thing. And I love how you kind of go through the crowd. Immediately, the first thing I could think of was um, Jedi. What was the last
Oh,
game that
Survivor.
Jedi Survivor? The
Where
one where
that?
he goes into that rage mode of his. The screen goes
Oh,
red.
I thought you were gonna go God of War because God of War is where you do. Boom.
Oh yeah, that too. But I think this, because of the kind of rage I felt, like it's not in the sense that the God of War, it kind of pushes you that way, and it's like a thing that's okay to kind of do. Here, it feels wrong to kind of use this. Like it is the
Really?
same thing you felt where when I was playing Star Wars, I mean Jedi Survivor. Every time I
Yeah.
activated mode, I felt like I was losing a piece of the character who I want the character to be, right? Like the person.
Okay. Right.
I don't want him
I
to give into his emotions and be that kind of evil warlord or whatever that is. Like I don't want him to go down um, the route of revenge and all of that stuff.
revenge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like completely consumed by it. There has to be some sort of balance, and that's exactly what I wanted for Atsu as well. Who, by the way, like the voice acting is for me top notch. Like I really love the voice acting of the main character here, and even like the bits and pieces of. I think I enjoyed more of the time that was spent between Atsu and the original Kitsune.
Yeah.
Because I think I went that way first and I met Jubei later. Um, so that relationship, because of the time that you kind of spend, the more time you spend there, felt more natural, and I really like the chemistry between the two characters. Jubei, obviously, you sense this feeling of, do I really know him? Yes, he's the brother, but is he the same person? What is driving him? And it doesn't help that he keeps a huge secret from his only living relative, right? Like obviously he's got trust issues as well, for whatsoever reason. I mean, not for
I mean,
whatsoever
not
reason,
what.
but
Yeah, exactly. It's clear. Like she's a freaking murderer and an outlaw.
yeah,
Like that against him, for his values is a complete no no.
true.
No, I get it. I think voice acting was fun. I loved everyone, including Saito the villain. I think there was that right amount of sarcasm as well as like real evilness to it. I enjoyed that bit a lot. Yeah, I think in terms of the rage, right? Like I didn't feel bad. I loved doing that entire rage bit. Obviously, before that, it was just the howl, the Ondrio howl, right? That was what it was when you filled up the bar, and then that became the rage later on.
Yeah.
And I love the howl as well. But yeah, this was a full-on massacre, man. A solo massacre. You put rage and you just were invincible. You just beat the shit
Yeah.
out of everybody. And I was like, shit. And the good part is like everyone has only got a katana there. So you didn't even have to change weapons or do anything. You just went there and beat the shit out of, slapped, killed, sliced everybody open, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, I think those were those were fun. I honestly, like, as much as it was predictable, I still enjoyed it. It didn't make me question anything. It didn't make me feel like, oh, is that it? I think any decision made or any act that was done was justified.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think overall, I think what else are we missing? I think yeah, I
I
mean
think
a lot of
the story itself, yes, definitely very much predictable, but I think it goes to show that if the story is done right, it doesn't matter how many times it's been done. It just feels right. Like in that moment, it grips you, and even though you have a idea or notion about where this is headed, you're still so engrossed by how good the whole experience is that
yeah.
it just does not leave a bad taste in your mouth. Is what I think.
You threw me off when you said, yeah, go to the Saito camp. Yeah, you won't find anyone. I thought I would go there. I went in there and I saw the main dude there. I was like, shit, no, no, no. What am I doing here? And
Yeah, so I
you know,
fucked up. I just wanted to see what the area was like, and somehow I ended up in that sequence. I just wanted to see what was happening. And then I got locked in, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is this happening right now?
no,
Kind
but
of a thing.
and also it's scary because it's not a linear direction. It's not like the game leads you there, right? It's like you can go anywhere. You can beat the Kitsune
Yeah,
first. You can beat. I think the only thing you was locked was Oshiwara, which was later on. But even that I
yeah.
didn't know. So like, so it was like you could go anywhere. So I was like, shit, have I gone to? And I know
End
this
game.
in the sense that you told me, so I was like, okay, I believe you. But if you hadn't told me, I actually would have left that till the end in a way, like I'd have maybe finished the others and then gone there because it clearly said Saito's camp, and I was like, no, I don't want to go there, right? And yeah, you told me like, oh no, don't worry, you don't be. And I saw him there, I was like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I was like, no.
That would be fun if actually that's where the main game boss is, and I kind of led you there because I ended up there as well. Yeah, that would have been. I mean, that would have been hilarious that you've taken out the main boss in the early session of the game. I think
The
what it had
yeah,
been a
the
day or
other
two.
thing was the other thing was the bamboo cutting thing, which was fun, especially when you're learning about it and you've got the left hand, also the right hand behind your back.
That that was the one where I was like, this game knows like how to kind of engage us better because when you're training your left hand, the difficulty with which you have
It,
to kind
it, it gave me
of
random buttons. I was like, no way. There's no way I can do that with like
yeah,
it's not possible.
yeah. Later on, I was proud that I was able to cut like at least three of those or something like that. I was like, okay, not bad. Probably, I wish I could have done all of them, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's what it is, kind of thing. That's how the game is meant to be of sorts. It also irritated me where
Because I know we both were on call at that point, and you're like, no, no, just go. I was like, are you mad? Like, there's no way I can get through this. You're like, just do it.
Saito, right? There
Yeah.
was that thing with Saito as well. In the fight against Saito, there's a point where you get knocked back or something like that, which I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I feel like, did I get something wrong? And like, I
Yeah.
replayed that only to figure out that's just how the story flows. There's no way to get around that kind of a thing. And to
Mhm.
that point where the Jubei thing happens because of how non-linear this game was. I was like, did I fuck it up? Like, did I do something wrong in this battle for him to die that way? Like, could I have done something different? I literally Googled, is there any way to save
Juve,
Jubei?
really? No, I kind of, I
Worst
was,
worst sister in the game. Like, I meet him after so long, and then I'm the reason he died, kind of a thing. So yeah, that was
For
fucked up.
me, I think the moment I knew it was him and he was part of the Matsume clan, I was like, this guy's gone. I kind of, yeah, no, I think that was right. I did have a bit of tension every time we went with a mission with him because I was like, at some point in time, this guy's gonna die, right? Um, I like that. I like um the thief as well in the side mission that you help. There's
Oh yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
From G or something. His name is. I think.
I have no clue who then pretends to be a lord and then we have to save him, kill the bounty that's on him.
Then he becomes a doctor, right? Who a dentist who removes.
Oh, not Goro, not Mad Goro. So that's yeah, that's the thief. There's the that is one thief who steals the gun and everything. There's the other thief who you meet on the cliffside, and he becomes a lord later in the Matsume castle area. He
Is it?
comes
I
on,
don't know.
yeah. He's like this. Uh, I don't know. He's like a liar, and he's quite a. He lies even to us, and he steals the money and money away. Basically,
Oh, the guy who sends us to this place where there are multiple people dead. They had some ailment or something,
I think so. Maybe I don't know.
and then he leaves us there and he runs away or something like that,
I
right?
think so. I think so. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I
Yeah,
think to platinum it, I think one of the toughest things that we had to do was to kick someone off a cliff, and
okay.
my God, that was so close. I was so close because there were only X number of cliffs available, and no bad guy is always going to be by that cliff, right?
Unfortunately, I think you don't realize you kind of have to do that when the story is progressing,
Yeah.
and you're only trying to achieve the trophies towards the end, right? Like you kind of see what is missing at the later point, and then you're like, oh shit, where do I go looking for this now? I literally had to get one of those guys, the like general commanders who are going on their horses looking for you. I had
Oh
to
yeah.
loop in onto like throw something at them, get them to chase after me, get them up to a cliff, and then even then I had to like they would chase for a bit and then start going back. Then again, I had to go through. So I had to do this a little bit, then
Mm.
get him to a cliff, and then use the Yari. Yari, right?
Yeah, yeah, the Yari one. Yeah. So what happened
Mm.
was I was facing these guys, and obviously this guy's got like the shield and something like that, and he's on the edge of a cliff, and I'm like beating him with some other weapon, and then I was like, shit, he's on the edge of a cliff. One more hit, he would have fallen off, and I would have lost that chance. And then I was like,
And,
fuck, what am I doing? And the thing was, I had the dashi or whatever, the big one, right?
yeah.
And I kept hitting him with that. I was like, why is this typhoon kick not working? Why is this typhoon kick not working? And I'm hitting him, so he's obviously dying at some point. And then I was like, shit, this is the wrong weapon. I immediately chose the Yari and I did the typhoon kick. I was like, oh, thank God he did fall off before that.
I didn't waste time. Once I got him up to the cliff, I was like, screw this shit. First thing I'm trying is the typhoon.
Yeah,
I
no,
gave him the typhoon, he fell to his death.
I forgot which weapon did that. So I was like, with the dashi, I was pressing. I was like, why is it not happening? Why is it not? And it's a double triangle. So triangles are the heavy
Heavy
hits as
attacks.
well. Heavy attacks. So you're like hitting him. Heavy attack at the edge of the cliff. I was like, no, 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 quickly, quickly, before he does something. And then I kicked him off. Yeah. So, oh yeah, I think this was one of the few games where I think I really enjoyed going back to it. Um, I can't wait for Legends to come about so that we. But
Yeah.
Legends,
Get to go
yeah,
back into this world in the
yeah.
multiplayer
So I know
uh,
I know it's been announced, but it is sometime next year, right?
next
So
year. Next year is going to be a big year in gaming, so we'll have a lot more reviews hopefully coming out if we get the time to finish the games in time, considering all the other
no,
things
see,
we need to watch and review.
yeah, no, we did this. I'm glad that we did this. We did Dispatch. So we'll definitely do a lot more gaming reviews, especially
And just
ones
in
of
time for Game of the Year awards, right? Like it's I think happening tomorrow, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, and we did
Or
two of
by
them.
the time this video comes out, it will have been like maybe 3 or 4 days ago or whatever. And Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see. I mean, the chances of this game winning game of the year is pretty much like lesser than 10% because I think Claire Obscure, the Expedition 33, whatever the game is seems like that it's going to be the standout winner. Um, and considering this game is an improvement upon Ghost of Tsushima as opposed to being a whole other redesign or like a new IP in itself, I don't think it like climbs up. But I would be surprised if I don't see this game in the top three ranking of the game of the year.
I mean, this game will win awards. I think at least for visual aspect, it has to. I can't think of. I've seen
So, which
Claire
is
of
the top game of the year if you were to kind of wait, do we have anything left that we still have to
No,
discuss?
no, I don't. So if you're asking me, I think, but honestly, what are the games that have come out this year
Come
that,
on, this year.
yeah,
So obviously, Ghost of Yotei, which we're talking about, there has been Dispatch. There's been AC Shadows at the beginning of this year, which I mentioned I didn't complete. There have been a lot of games that we've not played.
yeah,
There is Hollow Knight, Silk Song. There is, I think, something called Blueprints that is supposed to be good. A lot of these games are indie, obviously, uh, and
hmm.
we kind of need to sort of explore those as well at some point. But I
Yeah,
think
because I mean the games that I remember playing this year, Ghost, Dispatch, what's the FIFA. I played Mafia, right? And
yeah,
it's predominantly been in the second half. I don't think the first half I spent too much time. I don't even remember what we played in the
I
first
think
half. Maybe
and Spider-Man was last year, if I'm not wrong, right? Like, uh,
what?
was it not Spider-Man?
Two.
Yeah,
That was definitely some ages ago, man.
last year, no? Or was it like the year before?
Mm, the year before, I think 23,
So,
2023 October. Yeah, yeah. I clearly don't remember playing that year last year. So it was definitely 2023. I think last year was when I spent playing Hogwarts and Survivor. I think all of that.
yeah, Survivor, no. Survivor and Hogwarts, I think, were 23 as well, so not 24.
No, I got them late to play. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. But definitely not from last year. Those are the
yeah,
years.
yeah. I don't know. I mean at this point they're all sort of merging. I have no clue what we've been playing. Um. So yeah, I think
Split
honestly
Fiction
it
was this year.
Split Fiction. Oh yeah. Was it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. This year. Yeah, I remember.
It was March, I think. No,
No, or was it late last? No, it was late last year.
no. No. It was March, I think. I
Oh
would
yeah,
say.
it was early this year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. March. Yeah. So I remember playing it here. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So Split Fiction was a lot of fun. I can't believe you guys haven't finished that. Um.
We need to get to that. So
Yeah.
is that
So actually, so out of Split Fiction, Mafia, uh, Dispatch, and Ghost, I think Ghost is the clear winner for me. I then probably would say Split Fiction. I enjoyed a lot more because of the cool things, and I got to play with my cousin, so it's a co-op game, which was fun. And I actually, maybe have a renewed like for Dispatch. I think I maybe gave it a little harsher review than I maybe did because I'm replaying it and I'm like, oh, actually, this is a lot more fun. So
yeah.
or rather, I think I paid a lot more attention this time around, maybe
I
to
think
try.
I think because and it might be heavily because I've not played a Telltale game in a long time or like that kind of game. I think Dispatch is my game of the year.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's like saying a lot because I have had a really really good time with Yota, and it's clear like in terms of what the team has managed to achieve. Uh, terms of the way the game looks, the way it feels, etc., is simply phenomenal. But I think the storytelling for me in Dispatch was something I haven't experienced in a really long time, and that was like pretty awesome in the way they balanced the whole interactive experience, but also like this animated um, visual visuals that they gave us. It looked very top notch, and I love the way the story flowed, choices that you had to make,
Yeah.
and just the overall feel of the game. And
All,
it's music.
all of which, yeah, all of which you can listen to in our previous
W.
review and yeah of the game. But I guess that's all the time we have for Ghost of Yōtei. As much as we'd want this entire podcast to be as long as we played the game, that's not possible, right? But I think yeah, it was one of my favorite games so far on this in this generation, and yeah, we definitely hope to see a lot more from Sucker Punch. I want to see what comes next. But until then, I'm waiting for Legends to have a lot more fun from a co-op level,
Yeah.
at a co-op level, right? So that's about it. We'll catch you all on our next episode. Until then,
Arigato gozaimasu.
arigato. Yeah, I was like gonna say konnichiwa. No, 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 arigato. All right, see you.